Connor, what's up, man? How you doing today?
How's it going, man? Doing good.
Man, I'm doing well too. How would you introduce yourself to someone who maybe doesn't know you yet?
Yeah, so my name is Connor Bloom. I've been running agencies for between 5 to 6 years, around that range. And the last agency I ran, within the course of 3 months, I scaled from zero to $124,000 within a single month. And within a year of running that business, I sold it to a private equity firm based out of Canada.
Mm,
And then currently, I spend all of my time ruthlessly obsessed about trying to show people how awesome ads are and show them that it can genuinely change their life forever within a matter of literally weeks to months, and show people what's possible with that.
mm. Love it, man. I want to get into the business in a second. I want to start from the beginning. What was like your childhood like? How did you grow up?
Sure. So I grew up in Denver, Colorado. My mother is a school nurse and my father's a teacher. So I didn't grow up like poor, but I didn't grow up with lots of money. Um, and when I started to get into middle school, I had a lot of doubt about myself, and I didn't know where I fit in, who I fit in with, and because of that, I was susceptible to a lot of, I guess you could say, just bullying. And from that, I decided to go all in on myself. I started lifting when I was maybe 13, 14, and I missed a workout in about 6 years now, and I decided to become the best version of myself.
Damn, man. I like that story to be honest. Who would you say you looked up to when you were smaller?
I mean, what age are you talking?
Like, let's say, like around 13. I feel like that's when,
Sure.
yeah.
Well, probably a pretty basic answer and maybe not that exciting. But when I was starting off, I would particularly consume a lot of content from both Iman Gadzhi and Hamza Ahmad. I think they're a large part of the catalyst that made me decide to take a risk and kind of go all in on myself. So back in 2021 area, I started consuming their content, and I decided to leverage what they were saying and take a risk on myself.
Mm. Yeah, Hamza, I feel like a lot of young guys from our generation were growing up on Hamza. And I'd say he had a really good impact, honestly. Maybe even a little bit better than Andrew Tate, to be honest.
Sure, I would agree with that.
Yeah. But I did take a lot of good things from both the Tate brothers. Did you watch any of their content when you were like younger?
Sorry, repeat the question.
Did you watch any of their content when you were younger?
Like Andrew Tate?
Yeah, Tate brothers, yeah.
Yeah, sure. It was kind of hard not to back when they were super, super
Yeah,
popular. Yeah,
it was.
yeah.
So so that wasn't that long ago for you. So how old were you? You were like 20?
I'm 19, actually.
Shit, we're the same age, bro.
Yeah.
Interesting. Honestly, bro, I envy your fucking beard, bro. My size ain't growing for some reason. So, dang, bro, I thought you were like 23, something like
I got the
that.
genetics for the beard, man. Yeah.
Hey, man, that's some really good genetics. Not gonna lie, man. Did you before you got into entrepreneurship and business, did you do many work many 9 to 5 normal jobs before?
I've never worked a job.
Mm,
Um, I've never worked at a fast food place. I've never worked anywhere. I've only ever done business online.
mm. How would you explain to people what you do now? If someone still doesn't get it.
How would I explain to people what I do now? Yeah, so I help people both specifically maybe ads, but just in general, I help people learn how to build profitable high ticket businesses. And I think I have the most impact taking people from 10K per month to 100K per month, which is most people anticipate to be a journey that takes 2 years, but all it comes down to is systems. When people
Mm,
talk about, if I were to go back to zero, they have an understanding that they know that would be able to get back to where they were, or at least close within a matter of months to a year. It's the same thing. Getting from 10K per month to 100K per month plus can be something that happens within the course of a few weeks if you simply understand the basic systems involved to be able to facilitate that. And
Mm,
my highest leverage that I can help people with is simply unveiling the curtain on understanding what those systems are to take them from 10K per month to 100K per month plus. And that's what I do.
mm. Yeah, that makes sense to me. There still might be some people that, you know what? A lot of people like those. Did you ever like have any like of those IRL haters, like old friends, maybe family members,
Sure.
parents, even people like that, that like still wouldn't get you even when you try to explain it to them, and even when you do, they still like say, "Ah, you just got lucky" or some stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah, I've felt that before.
Mm. How do you how do you deal with those people when they were someone that used to be really close to you?
Doesn't bother me, really. Because the only reason you would ever take offense from something that someone says is if you value their opinion.
Mm,
And I think most of doubt has come from either people who are lower than me or
mm,
older family members in my life, grandparents who um, are more in a different way of just mindset around making money. And it doesn't bother me on their
mm,
specific opinions because it's unrelated. And then people who are doing worse than me then have opinions on that. It doesn't matter because you're doing
mm.
worse than me.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense to be honest. I
You
guess
know?
it's just when you like when it disappoints you, when it was someone that you care about, maybe you still care about, right? Maybe like a sibling or someone like that, that like maybe isn't directly hating, but it's like doubting, like saying that like but what if it doesn't work out? Like a little business of you, or maybe you just got lucky, like you still should go to college, etc. Doesn't that bother you sometimes?
I haven't experienced too much of that within immediate
Ah,
family.
okay.
I think for me, most of that comes specifically from either more
Mm,
extended family or people who are below me. And even
mm,
if it did happen within immediate family, again, it doesn't bother me because I have an extremely high degree of conviction behind what I can do.
mm. Yeah, that makes sense. Did you try like different business models in the past before you found this that works?
Oh yeah. I when I was starting off entrepreneurship, it probably took me a little over 2 years to make pretty much my first dollar.
Mm,
Um, the first business I ever tried was an agency. It's called 7C Media. I ran that for about 8 months. I did cold outreach every single day. I was scraping all the leads myself. I sent thousands and thousands and thousands of cold DMs, cold emails, cold calls, and it led to nothing. The closest I ever got was a sales call I had with someone who I thought I had closed because they had booked in a follow up call for an $800 a month retainer. Hopped off
mm,
the call, was super excited, and they ended up not closing. So the
mm,
first thing I ever tried was an agency, and I didn't have any success with it because I didn't understand the systems required to make an agency be successful, and I didn't understand the true fundamentals around that. After that, I tried a clothing brand called Ambition Club, and I ran that for maybe about 6 to 7 months. And I took out I think it's like a loan from my parents for ad spend and like hiring influencers for that, like $500. It was like fronting Christmas money and stuff, like 15.
mm,
Um, and didn't make any money from it. I think I might have gotten one sale for $35. I spent a lot more than that, so didn't have any success. For that, I tried drop shipping, specifically eBay based drop shipping. I threw up some products that I had just arbitraged from Shane. And I think I got maybe 3, 4 sales for like $4 profit each. Made like 16 bucks, 20 bucks, something like that. And then after that, I met my business partner at the time, and we started an agency that helped musicians, producers, and DJs expand their career, get more following on their Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, whatever. And over about a year and a half of running that business, we scaled it from probably like $500 a month, like $0 to $500 a month, to 20K per month. Margins were terrible. We probably from 20K in a month, we probably actually took home $2,000, like generally horrible margins.
Jesus.
And after ad spend and all that stuff, it was just not a business that I wanted to run. So after I had finished that business, I then built an agency called Optigrow. And I hired a mentor. I took out a loan for pretty much all the money I had. I mean, well, $15,000. I didn't have a job. I didn't have a business that was making money. I didn't have any money saved up really. And I running ads. And I scaled that
Mm.
business to $124,000 within 3 months. I kept doing
Dang.
that for a year and then sold it to private equity.
Hey man, that's like one hell of a story. Like there are very
Yeah.
few guys in their 20s that have something like that. There are even less people below 20 that have something like that.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think that the majority of people, when they try different things, they don't stick to it long enough to make even the first
Mhm.
sale? Like they quit within weeks, not even months. Why do you think
Sure.
people do that nowadays?
Um, I think from very like a high level perspective, it's just that people have a hard time sticking with things because in their entire life they've been used to getting things very, very fast. If they want a dopamine release, they can just pull up Instagram and start scrolling. And all the dopamine just in general in their life has been extremely instantaneous, where they start to have this urge to create something beautiful and in the process profit. And they believe in their eyes, because of what they see on social media, that it'll be a process that will take 2 to 3 weeks. And when they realize that, if you don't know what you're doing, which you don't when you're starting, it will probably take you 2 to 3 years, and even hit your first 10K per month for most people. Um, it gets very disheartening. But when you have either the skill set and you know what to do, which the way to do that is to simply hire mentors, even if it's really scary, even if it takes all the money you have in your bank account or whatever it is, nobody's ever been successful without taking risks. So either do that or dedicate 2 to 3 years to the game and you will make it work. But it's going to take longer than you
Mm,
expected and it's going to be more difficult than you expected to make happen.
mm, yeah. So, yeah, man, you even gave it a solution, which is fucking amazing, man. What's or hold on, I got a different question. What would you say was like the biggest risk you took in the last year?
Um, well, it wasn't this year, but taking out that loan for $15,000 to run
Mm,
ads was pretty scary because
mm,
I didn't have a job. I didn't have a bailout. I didn't have money saved up. The business wasn't making money. And if I didn't make money from that loan I had taken out, I would have been completely in a shithole with no way out
mm,
of it. But the thing is when you put yourself in situations where you genuinely do not have any way out, you'll make it work. Because I think people from a very top level perspective understand that they have to take risks to be successful, but they don't understand what risk actually looks like.
mm,
Because risk doesn't look like doing cold outreach. Risk
mm,
doesn't look like, potentially being scared because, one of your family members or friends is going to think you're weird for doing a business. That's not a risk.
mm,
A risk is I'm going to drop out of college.
mm,
Risk is I'm going to take out a loan and I don't have a way to pay this back. Like those are things that are extremely scary. It's like I have $5,000 in savings. I have rent due in 2 weeks, and I'm going to take this entire $5,000 and send it to a mentor. Risk. It feels really uncomfortable, but you will succeed faster than you could possibly imagine if you just commit yourself to being able to take those risks and make those scary decisions. And what tends to
mm,
happen, even if it's not immediate, is every single risk you will ever take will always pan out in your favor as long as you just keep going with it.
mm. Yeah. Keeping going with it is. I've got a question a little bit related to this. How do you like? Let's say that you finally get that first 10K month, and then you gain a lot of momentum, right? How do you like not get like comfortable, and how do you keep the momentum
Mm,
going and not lose? Because there have been a lot of people that had like 1 20K month, but they're back to 3 4K a month, and they stayed there for a long while and lost the
yeah.
momentum. Why do you think that happens?
I have experienced that myself, and I've known a lot of people who've experienced the same thing. I think it's because people feel like it's guaranteed to a certain perspective once they've done it once, and that, and I've made this mistake too, is they believe that their current situation is the situation that will prolong forever. But the thing is it's not, it's very comfortable to be at 20K per month. It's not comfortable to drop from 20K per month back to 3K per month. And what
Mm,
people tend to have happen is that you know, they get to this first 20K per month, they get to this for 100K per month, and it feels amazing. And then they take their foot off the gas, they buy a car, they buy a Rolex,
mm,
whatever they want to buy, and the next month they do 15K from 100
mm,
or 3K from 20. And then they're like, oh no, I have a serious problem on my hands. I need to recommit myself and realign with who I'm supposed to be and what I'm supposed to be
mm,
doing. And what tends to happen is that people go through this circular process of 20K, 3K, 20K, 3K, 20K, 3K, where if you want to get to the numbers you truly want to get to, you need to continue treating it like it's worth your time to continue
mm,
progressing. I think another more general thing that a lot of people don't say is that people tend to get very greedy.
mm,
And this is maybe even like kind of a little bit of a side tangent that's not exactly related to the question, but I think it's important, is that so many people do their first 20K per month and they can do effectively really anything they want to a certain
mhm,
degree. Can't do everything, but they can do most things. But they want to do 30, and then want to do 40, I want to do 50. And what a lot of times tends to happen is that they, specifically in like a high ticket space, they scale their front end and their back end completely falls apart. And then they end up in a worse situation than they did before. And
mm,
sometimes, even though this is just not how I'm wired, but if it is how you are wired, it's, something that you should not feel guilty for, is getting to 20K and be like, this is okay. I don't need 30K. I don't need
mm,
40K. Like, this is okay. Um, Unfortunately, I'm not wired that way where I can't do that. But if you are, don't feel guilty for it.
mm,
Just focus on that single thing. Because another thing too that people don't understand is that doing different revenue like amounts each month and making different amounts of money, like it's it's not as difficult as people anticipate it to be. And like 20K per month in my eyes is the starting line. Like you don't know what you're doing
mm,
yet. Like you've barely started. 100K per month is where you start to get kind of serious.
mm.
Sorry for
Yeah,
the kind of long-winded question or answer, but there you go.
I love that, man. But I know that there are gonna be some guys watching this punching the air because they haven't even been able to make like 1K a month consistently, and they're just like punching the air, like, what do you mean? Right? They won't understand this. And to be honest, even bro, even myself, I still won't understand because I'm still at 4 figures a month, and I still gone past 10K yet. So I still like am having trouble understanding it like fully because I haven't experienced it. But I
Mm,
also learned in the past 2 years like to also trust the words of those wiser to me and more experienced and more successful
sure.
than me. Because eventually with time, the more I progress and the more I see a lot of 80% of what they said was right actually. I just
Yeah.
didn't see it or I just didn't see it from that paradigm at the time. So
Yeah.
I'm like in the back of my mind, I'm judging this slightly on like 20K to start like that. Bro, 20K that's like 1% of the population. But then I'm thinking, well, yeah, but then it's also being like with the 1% of the 1%. That's a completely different game. So again, maybe I just haven't experienced it yet, so I have no place to judge. So I've learned to be a little bit more humble with this, but I know that there are gonna be a lot of people that won't understand this and they won't accept this even like as a concept. And so I
Yeah.
really appreciate it from you, from someone like you, um, saying this stuff, knowing that a lot
Yeah.
of people are going to hate on this because there will be that small percentage of people that will take value from this, that will take your words seriously
Yeah.
and remember it for the future.
Mhm. I think the most important thing that people need to understand is that um, a lot of times when you're consuming this content and you're consuming things that are um, pointing you in the right direction. A lot of times people are telling you exactly what to do. But
Mm,
what I noticed with a lot of people, and this even happened to me when I was starting, is I would watch all this content and I would take all the most tiny romanticized details, but then forget the actual important things.
mm,
It was like, I can tell someone about media buying, and I can tell someone about how to structure a lead form, properly convert. And I can talk to someone about how to optimize your setting process so you have good show rates, pickup rates.
mhm,
But that's not important unless you have a golden niche. And unless you
mm,
understand the fundamentals, how to actually make 100K per month plus. And like I had I think this is maybe even just like kind of a little testimony, but I started working with clients 43 days ago for mentorship. And he was doing 3K per month and he had been stuck there for quite a long time. He was running an agency for med spas and he was struggling. I started working with him about 43 to 45 days ago, somewhere in that range. And I truly believe this month will be his first 100K month. Last month, he rounded off just shy of 50K. He was doing 3K a month less than 2 months ago. And the reason that is because he took the most important things and with me dialed that in to actually make it happen. Because another thing too is that like there's no difference between me and anyone else to a real degree. All it is that I do the right things to be able to produce the right outcome. And if you're making $1,000 a month, it's because you only know how to the systems in place to make $1,000 per month. And if you have the systems in place to make $100,000 a month, and you know the fundamentals that lead to that, you will make $100,000 a month. And then you
mm.
will understand why 20K per month is the starting line.
What would you say what would you say was the biggest like mental shift or like personality shift from someone who makes 10K, 20K to like someone that makes six figures a month? What would you say needs to change in you as a human in that transition?
Um, I mean, something I will say that is applies to some people, but not all, because there's people who've made billion-dollar companies on their own now with AI. But
Mhm,
I would say it's the ability to expand beyond just yourself and to have a closer, to have a setter,
mm,
and to have a CSM, and to be able to manage a team, to be able to get more done quickly. And I think that's probably the primary difference. And then I think another thing too, it depends on exactly the space you're in. Like this is going to be different if you're doing it like whatever other than high ticket or even e-commerce stuff. Like run ads. Like if you're doing 10K per month, I mean, yeah, you can be running ads and doing that obviously, but like most of the time people are just so scared. They're running like
mm,
they're sending cold outreach. They're just doing whatever they think is the most productive use of their time. And the only productive use of your time when you're doing 10K per month is to put money into ads.
mm,
Like the only possible thing you can do that is going to bring you any real return, at least the return you want. It's like, with Prince, who's that guy who's very well going to do his first 100K per month this month. Mm, If he stayed comfortable and kept doing cold outreach and stuff, he would probably be doing 3K a month right now. But he started running ads.
mm,
And when you start running ads and you know what you're doing, you got the golden niche and the Alex Moses style offer, not a problem.
mm. I want to talk more about this. How do you because obviously managing 10K a month when you haven't been used to this is like a little bit different, a little bit of a new world for you. But how different is managing money from five figures to six figures a month? You know,
In what
isn't it
perspective?
isn't it like a
And
bit
like what realm?
overwhelming that now you can actually buy a Corvette, now you can buy even a Huracan, now you can buy like $300,000 cars. How when is it the right time to do those things, and when is it what to put your money on, or in when you're past 100K a month?
Don't be dumb. I think like so several things. One, for anyone watching this who is like maybe they just did their first 100K per month, don't buy a car. Please
Mm,
don't. Don't buy a watch. Because here's the thing is that like when you're at like 100K per month and you did that for the first time, you need to understand that there's a very good chance that the following month you're probably not going to do 100K per month, or at least you're not going to do better. You might do better, but very often what I'll see with people is they'll do 100K month, and the next month will be like 90, and then it'll kind of go down and it'll fluctuate. It'll go up and down. They might do 120K per month and they might do a 75K per month. It goes up and down. And sometimes it even goes really low if your fulfillment structure is bad. Um, Understand that the amount of money you're making right now is not the amount of money will be making forever. Maybe more, might be less. But the truth is that nobody I've ever really known ever has just been constantly on the up and up forever. And I think the way to manage it is to not in a scarcity mindset, but to reinvest aggressively into either yourself. I think that's going to be the best investment you could possibly make is mentors, agencies, courses, like everything you possibly can to invest in yourself. And like before you buy a Huracan, you should spend $300,000 in courses and mentors and agencies. Um, and, investing in assets that actually will set you up properly because there's a difference between making money and actually having wealth. Um, those would be the main things I would say.
Mm.
And then another thing too, I'll say is that it's not shocking. Like when you get to the place where you can buy really nice cars and you can travel as much as you want and you can do all those things, you were very unlikely to have like a wow, I did it moment. People
Really?
are striving for that. Are like, and if they do, it's more of just a quick sigh of relief. Like one of my friends, Josh, he helps me with my content. He managed Sowe's content, and he did 100K per month. And after he did 100K per month, he messaged me, and he was like, "It doesn't feel like I thought it was going to." Like he was expecting him to hit that, and this is the same way it was for me when I had 100K per month.
Mm.
Is you expect to get there and you'd be like, wow, filled with dopamine, on top of the world. You did it. You finally accomplished it. But more of what it feels like is like okay, I did that. Cool. But it's like, it doesn't matter to me at all. And what's the next thing? Like when I sold my agency to private equity, when I got the wire, I wasn't excited. Weirdly, I had an amount of money land in my bank account that I had never even seen before, like a very large amount of money. And I wasn't excited. I didn't jump up
Mm.
and down and scream and be like, I did this massive thing. I was like, okay, now what's next?
Mm.
Which unfortunately some people are wired that way. And that's how I'm wired is I have a hard time appreciating things a lot of times. Um, but it gets very normalized.
I, what was the biggest thing for me was like the fact that the thing that really was like getting used to is that now I can always like fill my I always have gas in my car like a full tank. I always have all the supplements stacked, nothing's missing, and I always have a fridge full of red meat and eggs. And that was the thing that I really wanted, right? And you really like need 1K extra a month to have all those things. But it was like that was
Yeah.
like the one thing that for months like I kept
Mm.
reminding, right? Because
Yeah.
most of my life I was like fucking broke, like Eastern Europe, right? And then now again, I'm kind of used to this. It's like if my gas tank
Sure.
is less than half, it's like it's something's weird, right? But back then I would use the reserve gas all the time, right, and fill up with that
Yeah.
box. I remember that, but that would last me a few months actually. I kept yes, everything reminding me of that. But then I want to ask you, what drives you now? What motivates you now? Because it's probably not the supercars or the maybe
Yeah.
houses,
No.
something like that. But I don't know, like what really if it's materialistic, or if it's the person that you become, or if it's the impact on other people. What is it that drives you to the next goal?
I think realistically, it's probably fairly unhealthy, but just how I'm wired. I get extremely uncomfortable. Like I want to just jump out of my own skin and like scream anytime I'm not working.
Mm,
And I feel so crushed if I'm not aligned with who I'm supposed to be, and I want to be the best, and I want to build really amazing things that people really benefit from and change people's lives forever. And I want to help people. And anytime that I'm not aligned with that, I feel terrible. Which for me, it's it's more of a push than a pull. Like for me, I don't think about materialistic things. I don't think about cars. I don't think about watches. I don't think about any of that. That doesn't I do not care at all. I honestly think most people who do care are very materialistic, and I think that they need to work on some stuff. But for me, it's purely push. It's purely that if I go sit down on the couch and scroll reels, I feel pain through my entire body.
Mm. So it's more of a self identity thing. Like your identity is like you're not that type of person who would scroll for 6 hours, right? Like as most people, but
Yeah,
a lot of people like see themselves as that person, and then sitting down for 6 hours and working on something feels strange. Like they randomly just go on their phone in the middle of a work session, etc. And I,
sure.
how do you think you shift from that person?
I don't really have good advice for that because I've never had to.
Okay.
But I think something I'll say is that if you are the type of person who can, to a certain extent, scroll on reels for 6 hours, good on you, man. Like if that's how you're
Mm,
wired and you are having a happy life like that, dude, no shame, man. Because like for me, I anytime I'm not working, I feel constant pressure on my entire body and
mm,
pain and guilt and just hatred even to a certain extent. And when I work, all of that goes away, which is probably very negative. And I acknowledge that. And maybe there's things I need to work on, but that's purely what drives me is a just pure pain through my entire body if I'm not aligned with what I'm supposed to be doing.
mm. I have it probably in different situations, but kind of similar. Like whenever I'm watching a movie with a girl or something, or going on a date, I'm like, man, honestly, I would much rather just to get the new guest on a podcast and then record a podcast and then send it over to my editor and posting the clips. And honestly, like these types of things or coaching my clients, like that's the thing that actually I want to do. Like for example, I had a big video game addiction all my childhood, right? Like I would play 12 hours a day, bro. And
Mm,
I probably I shouldn't even like whenever I tried to quit that, I would fret, bro. I would install the video games back on. But one thing that changed it for me was getting my first client like on a $250 retainer for 50 sketching 2 years ago. And that was like
yeah,
the first thing. Whenever I got a $250 strike notification, right? Like my Stripe account, and then landed in my bank account a couple of days later. At that point, I found myself that I don't actually even want to play the game. I want to play a video game of business, honestly. Like that, I
sure.
actually wanted to. I didn't fight the urge anymore. So, from a previous addict to these bad habits, and a lot of them, I would say instead of like fighting the urge, try to like completely like get that first like bigger sale at least, or like a sale, and then
Mm,
try to make it your life so that you don't even want to do these things until instead of fighting the urge to do them.
sure,
You know what I mean?
sure. Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, I feel like whenever you're fighting urges, they persist so much that you eventually fail. But when you don't even get the urges, that's when your life changes a lot more.
Yeah,
Mm. Do you have someone
100%.
do you have someone that inspires you now?
It's a good question. Um, I think a few people, but nobody. People aren't really going to know who they are. I think
Mm,
they're people who I've met within my own personal life who um, have been really inspiring to me, and I very much admire the way they live. Um, the people who helped broker the deal for me selling my agency,
Mm,
they previously ran an agency that was doing $1.5 million a month. And I met up with them in Vancouver and really impressive people. And I really enjoyed spending time with them. And I think that they're some of the most beautiful human beings I know. And
mm,
I haven't spent much time with them, and I honestly don't know them too well. But I really admire how they live their life. Mhm.
mm,
Yeah.
mm. What do you want to be remembered for? Like, when your time comes and we all leave, uh, if you want to have an impact on even not even like maybe worldwide, but even like on the few hundred people that will remember your name like deeply that you met, what do you want people to remember you as?
I want to be the coolest person ever, effectively. I in January I'm hosting a mastermind with agency owners where we're gonna climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
Dang.
I like doing shit like that. I want to speak multiple languages. I speak
Mm,
Norwegian. I want to martial arts.
mm,
I want to have an incredible physique, which
mm,
like marathon
mm,
and bodybuilding show.
mm,
I want to make an extremely admirational amount of money.
mhm,
I want to be a positive role model for the people within my life and people who look up to me. And I want to leave this life without having anything left on the table.
mm,
And I want to be the coolest person who ever lived, effectively.
mhm. Matt, but like for the fact you're 19, bro, it's fucking crazy. I think that the majority of people would look up to you. Like, I absolutely population. And
I
obviously,
appreciate
that's
that.
not who we're comparing ourselves to. But just know that, bro, from an outsider's perspective, this is fucking cool. I just can't even imagine, like, what 27-year-old Connor would do.
Yeah,
Like, it's like even beyond my imagination. Like if I were to
sure.
say like, bro, 1 or 2 million a month, I think that would be like under what do you call undershooting or something like that, right? Like
Yeah.
underestimating you. It just goes a little bit past my imagination, man. Do you have any idea like what you will be doing closer to mid 20s?
Um, something cool.
Yeah, not just money, but even skills they will require, etc.
Um, I want to speak more languages. I find that very it's such a cool thing when someone speaks multiple languages. Like I find it
Mm,
so just interesting. I want to have interesting stories to tell.
mhm,
Period. Um, that's it. I want to have interesting stories. I think like I anticipate that I'll be at $1 million a month within a year. Personally,
mhm,
I think that's very possible for me.
yeah.
I anticipate that I will be at 100,000 followers within 12 months. Anticipate I'll be making $1 million a month within 12 months. Anticipate it will be even cooler, if you will. I want to be extremely cool.
Yeah. Like the older entrepreneurs obviously didn't have these options that we have nowadays, but uh, I have a question that I think is interesting. What do you think would your life look like in your age, but in like the 70s or the 80s?
Um, Good question. I don't know. I don't know if I would have the same drive. And I think
Really?
because I think at a young age I was exposed to so much just content that influenced the way
Mhm.
that I think, and I wouldn't have been exposed to that. I probably would have had like a 9 to 5 job or something, or maybe I would have been able to properly
Mm.
build out a business, but it's much harder to do so.
Yeah.
Um, Someone that I admire a lot as well is Steve Jobs. I think
Mhm.
his ruthless obsession about a product and making something that is so beautiful that the entire world uses is something I find extremely admirational. And who knows, maybe I would have been able to do something similar to that in that day.
Mm. Yeah, it's a crazy thought to think about it. Yeah. The majority of successful people now that are young, obviously, or closer to our age, I'm wondering how much longer would a process be to make a first million, but like 50
Mm,
years ago,
a
you know?
lot, a
Yeah,
lot. I mean, like in the
because
'60s, no teenager was making $100,000 a month
yeah,
without their parents.
yeah, bro. Yeah, because you didn't have that many options to get out to so many people seeing your products, seeing your
Yeah.
services, all of that. Maybe
Hmm.
like advertisement like billboards, etc. But that shit wasn't cheap, and like a normal person, like
Yeah. Oh,
you know, so
exactly.
it's like you know, like fucking putting your posters on some fucking wall or
Very
something like that.
admirational people, like
Yeah,
to be able to build something real with such difficult conditions to do
yeah,
so. Extremely impressive.
yeah. We look at it as difficult for them, but they look at what we have now as easy, I think. But the people that truly made millions of dollars like 50, 60 years ago, like those, in my opinion, are like they have to have something completely like they have to be a different elite of entrepreneur, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Like obviously, bro, all respect to you, bro, like fucking hell, getting to 100K a month is still like extremely hard and very small population of the world will do that.
Yeah,
But I still somehow have the feeling that you would, let's say your mindset, you would be able to get there. Maybe slower, but you still would within
sure.
like a couple of years.
Yeah,
So yeah,
sure.
that was just thought. But yeah, going back to those years and imagining what would that look like. I thought it was interesting. I
Yeah,
got a, I got some rapid fire questions before we wrap up. Ready?
go for it. Yeah.
What was the best and the worst advices you've been given?
Hmm. I think this is maybe more specific than like general life advice, but the best advice I've ever gotten is, well, maybe not super specific. Um, Fulfillment and product matters more than everything else in business. The
Mm,
single most important thing that you could ever work on. It's more important than your sales. It's more important than your marketing. It's more important than anything else you could possibly do. Having the best product and having something that people genuinely love will make you more money than you could ever possibly spend. And that is the reason Apple is one of the most successful companies of all time,
mm,
is because Steve Jobs obsessed about the quality of the product. And that obsession translated into a company that was doing extremely well. But Steve Jobs didn't care about revenue. He didn't care about profit. He didn't care about money. He cared about making a product that people would genuinely love. And because of that, Moses, he made an extremely large amount of money. As an entrepreneur today, I think people tend to forget in the pursuit of getting to 10K per month, 100K per month, $1 million a month plus, that if you want to build a business worth owning, you need to spend all of your time on making the best product possible.
yeah, that makes sense. What was the stupidest, worst advice someone has given you?
Um, I don't know. I
Mm,
don't know specifically the worst advice I've gotten. Um, Potentially, you could do it on the flip side to a certain extent, but I wouldn't go as far as saying that's the
yeah,
worst advice I've had. Because I think obviously there's a time and a place for focusing on your sales, like you have to.
yeah.
But I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for that question.
How would I would say how would you, but how would you think people in your life would describe you in 3 words?
Uh, Very, very autistic.
That's honestly a
uh,
good one.
yeah.
Yeah. What would you say was the proudest moment in your life?
Um, hmm, it's a good question. Um, Maybe I don't have a good question for that one either.
Mm,
It's definitely on its way. But,
mm, okay. Do you have like a quote that really stuck in your mind from
mm,
someone?
yes, I do. Um, from Naval Ravikant. I really genuinely love this quote, and it influences my entire philosophy about around business. And I was literally talking about this 30 seconds ago. You're doing sales because you sucked at marketing. You're doing marketing because you sucked at product.
Mm,
If you have a great product, you have great fulfillment, you spend all of your time ruthlessly obsessed about the one thing that truly matters, nothing else does.
mm. Yeah, I love that. That makes sense. What's next for you, man? What are you doing the rest of this year?
Um, Personal brand, spreading the message, helping more people. Um, like I have an unbelievably high level of conviction that it can change people's lives. I continue to prove that to myself time and time again. And I want to change and influence as many lives as I possibly can, selfishly, so I can tell it cool.
W, man. I like that. So, man, kind of, when can people find you?
You can find me on primarily Instagram, Connor.Bloom, CONNER.BLUHM. On Instagram, I post there twice per day. I am starting to post on YouTube, and company is nomads.inc.
Okay. Guys, thanks so much for watching till the end. Connor, thank you for taking time today for this. Means a
Of
lot.
course.
Um, definitely, like, I'm sure that there's just one guy that is currently at a few K a month that really will make a lot of changes in a year from now. And I hope that it stucks in something from this stucks in their mind. So, man, thank you so much. Guys, thanks for watching till the end. May God bless you, man. And see you.